2023-12-20. Was this my last visa run? Thailand, across. It's evening when I learn that I am going to Myanmar in a few hours to renew my visa. I collect what I'm going to take with me, it's by routine today. But, I also pack a little extra because if this isn't my last, I think it's my next to last visa run and I do enjoy these days. I'm up before the sun and sitting in the quiet with a morning tea, ready with the camera. A total of 32 photos of the sunrise, and I haven't even started on my cup of tea. It's one of the most beautiful sunrises I've ever witnessed and I captured it for all time to relive, that's art. I got dressed and made my way down to the taxi that should be waiting since I was 3 minutes late, no taxi. I quickly look at the clock again, 5 minutes left until the appointed time, which means I'm late. While I'm standing there waiting, time is passing, 5 minutes, 10 minutes and then I call my brother. It takes a lot, he finally gets to sleep and then I call. But if I don't call, I won't get a new visa and that means more headaches than waking up my dear brother. He's just like the rest of us when we've just woken up, so I give it a few seconds before his words and thoughts fully sink and I actually understand what he's talking about. The taxi arrives and at the same time my brother leaves for work. I really feel like a piece of crap for waking him up. At the same time, it's the driver who should feel ashamed for not being on time. He apologizes humbly and honestly and I calm him with a pat on the shoulder and say, "No Leo." Which means like no stress, and while we head towards town, I sit with a smile on my face and look at nature in its beautiful light while my chauffeur gets to catch his breath and come to life. During the journey to the collection point, I get to see another part of the area. When the morning people wake up, they light incense in the religious monuments on the grounds. There are cyclists enjoying the temperature, monks who are out hiking. It is another part of this culture and everything is dressed in gold for a few minutes before everything burns up in the blood-red sky. At the collection point I am met by the next driver, my neighbor who drove me all the way home last time. He polishes the van's rims and looks over so that everything is to his satisfaction. He has enormous pride in his vehicle, which is also noticeable when he drives. It's not some Spanish speed bumps. He crawls over every pothole in the road and they still makes him wince a little and then he pray. I'm trying to look around, who are the others and how many are going today? Because it's just one van today, but I don't need to worry. The organizer is coming. Today he looked like an organizer. Well combed, well groomed and didn't suffer slightest in the morning breeze. We gather around the car and got our tour cards. I stand in the background and take it easy while the others, who are all first-time travelers, are a little nervous. We were a total of 6 Russians, 2 Dutch, 1 Swede and 1 Thai, all ages from 4 to 82. I got really close to the Dutch during this trip. They were also the ones who raised the average age. As it's a Russian tour operator, the language becomes a bit difficult for some. I realized after 15 minutes that I was put in a position to just go along or become a tour guide for the Dutch, one for all right. While our tour cards are handed out, the information is conveyed by the organizer's second in charge. The organizer made his way towards me where I'm hiding at the back of the cluster. He comes up to me, holds out his hand and calmly, almost harmoniously without being pretentious, greets me by name and looks me in the eyes. He know how to greet someone in the right way. He know that we know what you right now is trying to understand. About 30 minutes into the trip I find myself sitting like a king in the front seat. We get to the intersection where my driver was cheated on change last trip. I giggle and make a note in the book. Now it is a long time before we are back in this part of Thailand again. It's receiving at the same time as I know it can also be hugely enjoyable with the right travelers. I break the ice very humbly with the Dutch. I apologize and prove who I am by introducing myself and gently ask if it is their first visa run. After a brief introduction, I am told that this is the case. I calmly demonstrate that, I will make sure you get back home, and tell them it's my 3rd run. That the organizer came up to me like he did, kinda showed them as well that I'm no hustler even if I look like whatever you like to call me. I don't know what goes through people's heads when I intrude like this and offer to assist. I know what I look like and I know what connections people make depending on what country they come from. It came true as late as this day, but I'll get there. I offer the lady my arm for support so she can climb into the car and we're off. She has a cool surname, her name is the same as a country, for example. Mrs. Canada, Sweden, Hungary, which I have never experienced before. When I come to think about it, I'm not sure she needed all the help, maybe she just was polite to me feeling in need of being polite to her. They were both fit. Ha, that would be something, got to see them again. During the journey to the border, not many words are said, I have my headphones with music, paper and pen and just enjoy watching the world go by in the window. The further out of the city we get, the less of Christmas we notice, the last outpost for this holiday we see for several kilometers. It looks worse than Vegas with all the neon lights and Christmas songs screaming out of the speakers, and the only ones who enjoy it are the tourists who fled Christmas in their home countries just to bring the misery here. Not many people have a rear light, and this applies to trucks as well as cars. They put a rear light for bicycles on the back of the trucks because they have no other light. Have you seen a truck without lights in the dark with no street lights? Not many have and survive to tell. It's a solid black wall in the dark and you don't see it until you a few meters away, over a crest, then no prayers to anyone will help you, you're dead. Note. Truck speed 60 km per hour, our speed 120 km per hour, difference 60 km per hour, enough to kill you in that kind of collisions. Something a motorist had to experience. There is a white car in the middle of the road, we don't see it yet, but we see them who are standing on the side of the road and calling the driver's attention. A girl is crouched on the middle rail, one of the few places where there is one. The undercarriage's scratch protection barely hangs on and the front looks like a squashed soda can, no one stops. Welcome to Thailand, get that travel insurance. During the day that was, I got to take part in the Dutch's retellings and, as always, there was laughter and seriousness. I came to the conclusion that despite our 34 years in age difference, we had very similar ways of looking at the world, and this despite our differences. I have a knack for meeting people who have succeeded really well regardless of what they have undertaken, people who have written themselves into the history books for various reasons, and today was no different. I sat down with one of the better motocross drivers of the 70s who started his career selling copiers. A job he got almost by accident since he was already an engineer at very young age. He found a way to increase the number of copies per hour, by a few thousand, for one of his customer. The customer then contacted their dealer and manufacturer who stated that it is literally impossible to get that many copies, the rest is written in the history books, literally. But I'm not impressed, I don't care what this man or any man done. What I do care about is their story they are telling me. I get a free ride back in time, the tools so to speak that lead to the tools we got today with tech and stuff, and did they tell a story? The journey home was like the journey there, some of us fell asleep on and off, others were just quiet and focused on there. The child who was with did well, a bit bored in between, but who wasn't? We dropped everyone off at their respective places and the last one left was me and the Dutch. I get out, show my gratitude for their company during the day and that I had a great day. We laugh a bit about them going out for a beer while I, who is 30 years younger, will go home and sleep. But I was told that they are out walking daily, several miles, 10s of km, in total, which actually shows on both of them. Still 25 years old in some situations, like when they jumped down from the last step. 50 years ago they would have jumped the whole flight of stairs, but they have adapted to age with style and very gracefully. I'm now told, and from the heart I could tell, almost with a sadness over the departure we re-facing, I'm no monster. The opposite, I'm one of the nicest in a very long time they've come across, even though I'm looking like I do, I'm told with a loving laughter before we part ways. My driver do this, let us everyone off where they live, by his own choice. Very kind I believe, since his girlfriend is calling every 5 minutes. He waited the entire last trip and today to just ask me a few questions about my tattoos and so.